Hello and welcome to your April edition of Essential Cardano360, your monthly roundup of just some of the latest news and developments from across the Cardano ecosystem, brought to you by the team at IOG. Now, before we dive in, if you're watching on YouTube, please remember to subscribe and hit that bell icon to get all the latest and greatest news about Cardano from the team here. And hit that thumbs up and maybe drop us a comment too. It all helps with the algorithm to get the show in front of more people. Whatever might be happening out there on the industry charts, the Cardano ecosystem just keeps moving forwards with a huge amount of work going on, development, new projects, progress in the scaling roadmap, and the ever onward march to community-driven governance through the age of Voltaire. Now today, we'll get an update on two of Cardano's key scaling technologies, Hydra and Mithril, as Sebastian Nagel joins us for a much-requested check-in. We'll also hear from Kriss and Danny as they prepare for the launch of Project Catalyst Fund12, and just a few of the builders from within the ecosystem as USDM and Atrium stop by. But first up, as governance and constitution initiatives ramp up, a few of the folks involved in building out Cardano's member-based organization Intersect stop by to give us a bumper update. We'll hear from Intersect's head of communications, Tim Richmond, about the role the organization is playing in driving ecosystem growth, member contribution, and Cardano continuity, focused on keeping the Cardano core stack moving forwards. Head of Community Grants, Gemma Dakin, will give us the latest on Intersect's grants program, which is funding a wide range of projects to accelerate the governance journey. We'll have Kevin Hammond and Adam Rush to talk about parameters in the age of Voltaire, plus Mark Byers from the Membership and Community Committee will talk about how the MCC is supporting the community and how you can get involved.
Hello, I'm Tim Richmond and I'm the Head of Communications for Intersect. And I have the Intersect update for you today. Joining us will be our community tooling team and our committees and working groups. But before we jump into that update, I would like to just briefly tell you what Intersect is all about. Essentially, Intersect is Cardano's members-based organization and anybody can join. We help facilitate and empower our members to put their ideas forward and their thoughts and feelings into actual governance actions. As we move closer to the implementation of SIP 1694, it is absolutely vital that systems are in place for all of us to be able to put forward our ideas. So without further ado, we'll jump straight into the update with Gemma Dakin, who is our Head of Community Grants.
Thanks, Tim. So hi everybody, my name's Gemma. I'm Head of Grants and Community Tooling here at Intersect. And so in March, we rewarded 5 grantees for their proposals in the education and multimedia space. These initiatives aim to enhance understanding and participation in Cardano governance through providing accessible and engaging multimedia content that's tailored to the diverse Cardano communities and beyond. So this includes a whole range of content which will be published in Spanish and Portuguese, and it will touch on different varieties of multimedia, from videos to infographics to workshops. So really, whatever works for you, there's something there for everybody to learn. Then we have the open category that we are in the process of with a small pilot community group who are helping us to evaluate the proposals and therefore decentralize the evaluation of the grant process. Our decision will then feed into the Memberships and Community Committee, who will ratify our decision before we're able to release results to the rest of the community. So hopefully by next week, we'll have the results out and ready to go. And as a reminder, we have about 200,000 ADA for this category. Then we have the Direct Pioneer Programme, which is about to kick off. So for this, we've had over 80 applicants who have applied to be part of the programme, and 10 will be selected to deliver a unified Direct Pioneer course to the Cardano community, acting as Pioneer Workshop leaders. The aim is that by the end of this programme, a significant part of the community will be armed with the knowledge and skills needed to effectively participate in Cardano's governance. So that's really exciting. Then we are also providing grants between 1,000 to 5,000 ADA for local face-to-face and meetups covering Intersect and Cardano's governance. This category is capped at 40 events, and we have had a good number of applicants for the category. So for now, we've decided to pause whilst we do the first round of evaluation and award before we reopen the category up in May. Then we have recently also opened up a whole range of subcategories for the inclusion and accessibility category, which we will also be evaluating with another small community group. This includes a grant of 30,000 ADA for somebody to organise, facilitate and create an identity for our monthly town hall meetings until the end of the year. And there is also a grant of 10,000 ADA for someone looking to collect topics and run our after town hall spaces. Then Twitter Space is another grant that we've put out. So we're looking for a member to run 2 Twitter Spaces per month for the year. This will include mapping out a content plan, inviting members to co-host, promoting spaces through various channels, and keeping those spaces fun, engaging, and active. And so this grant is for 30,000 ADA as well. And then we have also left an open space. So this is similar to the open category that I mentioned that we are currently evaluating. And this area's goal is to capture ideas on inclusivity and accessibility that we may not have found a way to cover in any of our current opportunities. So this is where we're listening to you, the community, to think of ideas, to be thoughtful, creative, to enable anyone from around the world to easily engage with Intersect and Cardano's governance. And so finally, to finish up on inclusion and accessibility, we will be opening a grant later in the year. This should be around the start of Q3, and it will be to support the translation of governance tools into multiple languages, such as GovTool, Constitutional Committee Portal, and the Constitution. So lots of exciting things to come, and not forgetting any of the grants that are currently in development and being built, such as the Proposal Discussion Forum, the DREP campaign platform, and the Constitutional Committee Portal. So please be sure to follow our weekly development updates, where you can find all of the news and latest updates on grants and anything that's happening.
That's fantastic, Gemma. How does one apply for a grant?
So to apply for any of the grants, once they open up, the link will be on our website under the specific category. The link does change dependent on the category because we tend to ask different questions depending on what it is. And you will also find our open and closing dates and any information about eligibility and how we evaluate proposals also on our website.
Thank you, Gemma. It's really interesting to see what's going on over there. I'm really excited to see what's being built. So now we'll move on to an update from Kevin Hammond, who is the chair of the Technical Services Committee.
Hi everyone. Delighted to join you to talk about the work that we've been doing with the Parameter Committee. So the Parameter Committee was set up about a year ago originally, and it includes various technical experts from across the ecosystem. The purpose of the Parameter Committee is to provide advice and recommendations on the Cardano protocol parameter settings, including, very importantly, providing recommendations for the initial governance settings. And my understanding is that Adam Rush is going to tell us about those.
Kevin, thank you very much for that. Could you tell us a little bit more about what the Parameter Committee is working on at the moment?
It's a very busy period for the committee because we're in the process of preparing for the upcoming Chang hard fork. What we need to do prior to the hard fork is to evaluate the new governance parameter settings, plus the settings for the other new parameter which is being introduced for the costing of reference scripts. This is the catchy named min fee ref script coins per UTXO byte. I believe I've got that correct. So it's very important that we get good settings for the initial Chang hard fork, but also that we choose settings that will allow us to make future changes if we find that there are situations where they need to be adjusted in future. So the Parameter Committee is an advisory group. It doesn't take decisions. What it does is to make recommendations. And as we're rolling forward into the Voltaire era, once we've enacted the Chang hard fork and we're into the period where we have SIP 1694 coming into force, then it's going to be incredibly important to advise both the community and the Constitutional Committee as to the implications of any proposed updates to the protocol parameters that are being made. So that's going to be a big focus going forwards, investigating the implications of possible changes, making recommendations. In some cases, what we observe is that there's a desire to make changes to one particular setting, quite understandable why that could happen, but there are knock-on implications to other parameters. And what we need to do is, for example, say, okay, you want to do this, well, at the same time, you need to do that. Or conversely, look, you're trying to change these two things, they're interlinked, the interaction is complex. Therefore, what we've got to do, what we recommend you do, is first to change one and then to change another. So see what the effect of the first change is, monitor the system, and we have a whole team supporting that. We have a benchmarking team that's monitoring the system and determining the effect of any changes that are made to the parameter settings.
Thank you very much for that update, Kevin. And we'll now move on to Adam Rush, who is the Ecosystem Process Design Working Group Lead.
Hey, Tim. Thanks a lot. So what my group has been doing is we have been working on the initial settings for CIP 1694. We're specifically coming up with the governance parameters that will be in the Genesis file, that when the Chang hard fork occurs, this will be all the settings that detail how the governance will take place and what the thresholds are for votes and such as that. This will detail out things such as the minimum amount of ADA that a person must deposit if they want to be a DREP, the amount of ADA that must be deposited if you want to propose a governance action, the voting threshold you must cross, the amount of stake that must be crossed by DREPs or SPOs if you want to approve something like a hard fork or a treasury spend, and pretty much just going down the list. And anytime that there's going to be a governance action on the Cardano network, you have to have that parameter in there to show so everybody knows what the rules of the game are of how you achieve a proper vote. So what we did was, first we went through all of the workshop data from the CIP 1695 workshops that took place last year in 2023. And after looking at that workshop data and finding that there had been a lot of discussion and a lot of changes to the SIP that came about from the discussion from the community, we then developed a new survey that we deployed with Summon Platform and Drip Drops, and asked the community to also give their opinions on, what do you think about these parameters? What should the settings be for different thresholds and values in order to actually govern the Cardano network? And we had about 6.5 million ADA that was participating in this survey, which is, a bit, but it was really great to have, multiple sessions on Twitter, multiple discussions within the Cardano forums and within different threads of just people coming in and sort of giving their piece and saying, either this is really what I want to see, or I'm not sure yet, but tell me more about it, and the sort of learning process from the community that came from that. So now we are in the finishing stages of our report. We're passing that up to the parameters committee so that they can take a look at it. And we actually have a sample set of values that we put onto SanchoNet, the testnet for governance. And we are excited to try those out and have the very final settings ready for the Chang hard fork that will be taking place here in a very short time.
Thank you, Adam. And how does the community get involved in the discussion?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Nicholas Cerny from Cardano Foundation is a member of our working group, and he does a governance office hour every week on Twitter. So if you follow the Cardano Twitter feed, if you follow Nicholas, give a shout out to him, go and find him and join us on this Twitter space, or X as it's now known, for all the cool hip people who are more with the times than me, I suppose. There's also a lot of discussion that goes on in the Intersect MBO Discord. So if you join the Intersect Discord, we are around. We love to see the comments in the threads. Our members will jump in there, and we want to discuss and talk with people. And there's also a lot of workshops that are going to be continuing to go on. We're going to be taking input from the DREP workshops. We're going to be at places like Rare Evo to talk with people. We're going to be recruiting more people to keep discussing this, because while we've come up with a list based on community feedback of what the parameters should be for the initial setting, that's just the beginning. These parameters are going to be continuously updated by the DREPs, by the SPOs, by the Constitutional Committee as governance takes effect. And if you want to be a part of that, you can, just by being an ADA holder and by delegating to a DREP and making your opinion known. And so we're going to be continuing to have discussions about this, to give recommendations, and to try to make sure that people are knowledgeable about how the parameters work because the more people we have who are knowledgeable about how the parameters work, the better opinion we can have given to the DREPs, given to the Constitutional Committee for governing the network.
Thank you, Adam, for that. And if you would like to get involved, then please do, as Adam says, and join Intersect. We will move on now to Christian Taylor, who is the head of the Open Source Office and also sits on the Open Source Committee.
Hi, everybody. Christian with the Open Source Office here at Intersect. If y'all haven't been keeping up to date with the meeting minutes, we've had a lot going on lately. At the end of Q1, the Open Source Committee officially completed its first mandate of getting an open source strategy for the core Cardano repos and Intersect repos as a whole. Now, with the committee that formed in September with a bunch of volunteers from not only the core tech teams, but also suppliers and builders of Cardano and the community at large, we were able to, through months of deliberation, come to these strategic pillars for how we want to focus on the open source development for core Cardano and Intersect repos as a whole. And we came down to 3 strategic pillars, which is focusing first on technical sustainability to keep that DNA that is so inground in core Cardano development, where we have zero downtime, the technology is sustainable, and it can continue to develop in a very ground and secure way. We also wanted to focus on the second pillar, which is governance and decision making. We want to make sure that all projects coming in core Cardano or GovTool related can come together and make decisions, and also have a path of escalation for architecture decisions via the technical steering committee or recommendations from the open source committee. We want to make sure that those voices are heard, and via that governance piece, we also have our governance policy I do recommend everyone go read, where contributors can meet with maintainers on projects and get concerns and stuff and day-to-day operations with repos and development taken care of. And then the third one strikes all the above, which is the community engagement and collaboration. And this is one of the key areas of the strategy where we help improve that open source culture and continue to build upon that, where we can be a better open source citizen and the community can help guide direction, have input, and be active members of driving core Cardano forward. All of these details can be found on our Gitbook site. And we also, every single Friday for the last almost year, meet 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for the Open Source Committee, so feel free to drop on by. It's an open call, anyone can join, so feel free to bring questions there, and look forward to seeing you all in the future.
Thank you very much, Christian. It's really interesting to see the open source strategy developing over there. Joining us now is Mark Byers from the Membership and Community Committee.
Thanks, Tim. Hi, I'm Mark Byers, one of the 11 community team members that make up the MCC. We support the Intersect team in regards to member and community engagement. It's been exciting to see the number of community members that have joined Intersect. Because of the growth over the last few months, we've turned our attention to improving clarity about what is going on and how to get involved. There are a few projects in this area which we are supporting as a committee. The first one is interest groups, an easy way to start a group within Intersect, allowing community members to connect with others and of similar interests, and possibly build momentum to a full working group. Minimum community relationships is the second, a simple standard and guide for Intersect groups to follow for responsive and clear communication with the Cardano community. The third is group qualification, a standard and process for validating new and existing groups against Intersect's mission, keeping the Intersect lean, healthy, and representative, which is most important. We're also supporting the rollout of the Intersect Google Workspace and Gitbook by the Intersect team. This will advance the same goal of increased clarity and communication. The Intersect Members Hub is also under development, and the MCC is providing feedback on it. More to come over the next couple of months as these exciting developments roll out. Thank you.
And if you'd like to join Intersect, you can do so on our website, which is intersectmbo.org. And Mark, how would somebody get involved and help you out once they're a member?
So yeah, in regards to the MCC, once you've joined Intersect, you can get access to the Discord channel. and then access the general channel there and start asking questions. We also have an email address, mcc@intersectmbo.org, where you can email there directly. In the next couple of months, there'll be a members area as well, where you'll be able to access it there. But in the short term, join, hit Discord, go to Discord and start communicating generally with the community, but also you can contact us at the MCC directly if you want to get involved.
That's it for this month's update from Intersect. Thank you for watching, and thank you to all of our guests.
So thanks to everybody for that update, and be sure to sign up for the newsletter at intersectmbo.org, and for more detailed information, you'll find all the links below. By the time this show airs, the community will be just hours away from Project Catalyst's Fund12 launch, happening on April the 26th in Barcelona. Just before they headed over to Spain, Kriss Baird and Daniel Ribal dropped by to talk about what the community can expect from Catalyst heading into the new fund.
Thank you, Tim. Hello, everyone. This is Daniel and Kriss from the Catalyst team. Thank you for tuning in here today, as we're very excited to bring a new round of updates with regards to Project Catalyst. As you may have already heard, with Fund 11 onboarding generally completed now, Fund 12 is set to begin officially already tomorrow, April 26th, streaming live from W Hotel in Barcelona. But before we get to all of the new perks and details around Fund 12, let's pause for a minute and refresh the room very quickly. Kriss, what is Project Catalyst for those who may be hearing about it for the very first time just now?
Yeah, thanks, Danny. So Catalyst is Cardano's turbocharged innovation engine. It's an innovation grants program where anyone can submit ideas for projects that need funding that will ultimately be of the benefit for the Cardano ecosystem. So you could be a dApp builder or some sort of open source development project, or perhaps you're looking to produce an education initiative or marketing activation that onboards new users to Cardano. Ultimately, you can submit proposals to the community who will provide feedback on your ideas and then ultimately vote on to decide which projects receive funding. Now, over the last 3 years, we've run 11 funding rounds of Catalyst, and this has culminated in over 2.48 million votes cast, nearly 2.5 million votes cast in the last 3 years. And this has been from a community of over 60,000 members. And what have they been voting on? Well, they have approved 1,633 projects to date. And of those projects that have been funded from the Cardano Treasury via Catalyst, over 800 of them have already completed. So that's a bit of a whistle-stop tour of what Catalyst is all about. Back to you, Danny.
Awesome summary. Thank you, Kriss. So, as we hinted already in the beginning, there's a very special event taking place tomorrow, April 26th. For the first time ever, after almost 160 broadcasts over more than 3 years, we're taking a launch town hall event on the road for a chance to meet people in person. But rest assured, everyone will get a chance to follow along, as the event is going to be live streamed with help of Cardano's pod team as well as IO official channels. Though before we touch upon Fund 12 specifically, let's rewind for a minute here and explain why meeting in person is worth the effort, and more broadly, what are these Catalyst working groups that people have been reading about all along. Kriss, over to you.
Yes, so Catalyst working groups, as Danny pointed out, is a really great opportunity for, first of all, us to meet with each other, either in person or joining a host of online working groups. And the real idea behind this is that, Catalyst is a wonderful experiment in human collaboration. For 3 years, we've looked to fund the best and brightest of ideas with challenges that their proposals are submitted into. There have been categories that have now taken shape. But as a community, we ought to find an opportunity to come together to discuss what are the most important things that we should fund. What are the sorts of levers and tweaks to Catalyst that we could make? And how do we really help those funded projects to ignite and elevate to the next stage of their own ambitions? So this is the idea behind Catalyst working groups. It's a research project to bring community together and have an opportunity to share ideas. We're going to be hosting 26 working groups over the next 3 months in a whole host of locations, from Argentina to Australia, Congo, Ghana, Vietnam, the UAE, the USA, plus, as I said, a host of online sessions. We're launching Fund 12 at the Spain, Barcelona Catalyst Working Group hosted location. So we're going to the W Hotel in Barcelona, where not only will we kick off Fund 12, but there will be a whole day's worth of working group and workshop activities. So shout outs to Mauro, Cardano Spot, and the rest of the team that are working to pull all that together. And if you're not in Barcelona this weekend, perhaps you're in Tokyo or Nairobi or Toronto or Johannesburg or London. Any of those locations are hosting Catalyst working groups this weekend. And so the links will be down in the details. And if you want to join, you just need to sign up to attend. What you can expect on our launch date will be, as I said, a whole host of networking, a whole host of opportunity to share ideas about what you think works in Catalyst, what needs to change, really making your voice heard. And then we're going to kick off with a very special in-person live Fund 12 launch with keynote speakers and a great opportunity for us to really celebrate this next big moment in Catalyst's journey.
Perfect. Can't wait to see so many new people in person and also around the world during the live stream. So clearly, a lot is happening in the weeks and months ahead, and a lot more detail and updates are going to be shared during the live stream of the launch town hall already tomorrow. But what can we share with the community already now ahead of the official announcements that we can leave the viewers with, Kriss?
Yes, well, Catalyst Fund 10 and Fund 11 have seen a lot of new changes introduced. And I think that's spun a lot of heads and helped people to maybe orient where they were a little bit confused about where they best sit. And we certainly feel like that the shape of Catalyst is in a really good position now. So Fund 12 will keep much of the same flavor and framework as Fund 11. We're going to be staying focused on novel applications and decentralized dApps and real-world use cases. Open source development and grassroots ecosystem building are going to be all key features of Fund 12. This time round, there won't be a Catalyst Systems Improvements category because partly the Catalyst team are really deep into the development of the Catalyst technical roadmap. Instead, we are going to be introducing a very exciting and very ambitious all brand new category. So we're going to be making that announcement on the Fund 12 launch, so you don't have long to wait, and we're excited to see where that takes us. And I just want to give a final shout out to every member in the Catalyst team for delivering on the technical and design foundations of the new Catalyst voting system. So I mentioned that the Catalyst roadmap is in full flight, and you guys in the community have an opportunity to come and check out our Milestone 2 Proof of Achievement demonstration so you can see what the technical team have been up to over the last few months. So if that's not a lot to keep contended with, then I don't know what more you can want.
Amazing. I don't know about everyone on the other side of the screen, but myself, Kriss, and the rest of the team participating in bringing Fund 12 season online are very excited to begin another round of innovation. So you've learned here today that Fund 12 is officially set to begin tomorrow with the total budget of 50 million ADA and with further details to be shared during the town hall itself. And if you wish to learn more where and how to participate, make sure to check out the show notes links in the description below so you don't miss a thing. Other than that, stay tuned for ongoing updates on official channels, and most importantly, if not already, give Project Catalyst a follow on X via Catalyst_on_X right away and hit the notification bell to be always first to know about the latest developments. Other than that, thank you for your time today, and we'll be looking forward to meeting you in person or online around the ecosystem. Have a great day.
So thanks to Kriss and Danny for stopping by. There's going to be a lot of exciting announcements made on the 26th, so be sure to keep an eye out on the socials for more. It's been a year since we had a Hydra update on the show, and the team has been making great progress alongside a host of devs from the community. Hydra and Mithril are just two of the components contributing to the scaling roadmap for Cardano, which includes languages, EUTXO and script optimizations, Layer 2s and partner chains, ZK technology, and in the longer term, protocol advancements like Ouroboros Laos. Sebastian Nagel stopped by not only to share the progress being made towards version 2 of Hydra, but also to give us a few updates on Mithril. So thanks for joining us today, Sebastian. Now, it's been a while since you've been on 360, so for anyone new, can you give us a recap of your role at IOG?
Hello, it's great to be here back again on Cardano360. My name is Sebastian Nagel. I'm the lead software engineer on Hydra and also advise the Mithril project on similar amounts.
Sebastian, it's been about a year since we had an update on the show about Hydra. Can you tell us what the team's been working on?
It has been a while since we had a deep dive here on the 360 and given an update in this format. So it's actually, in fact, people have been wondering what's new on Hydra. And I'm not sure if everybody knows, but I just want to point it out that we have been doing monthly regular updates on the Hydra project and lately also involving the Mithril project in that regards. So we got these updates in a written and also a meeting recording format available now also on a new website, which is cardano-scaling.org/monthly, where you would find monthly updates on what's new and what we did in the last couple of weeks always. And with the addition of Mithril, it's also very interesting that you will see the participation stats of who signs Mithril signatures, who's involved in signing signatures for Mithril, which has been just recently breached. 250 SBOs are participating with a signing stake of 20% of the overall stake, which is a significant milestone for us.
Now, the community's heard you talking about bootstrapping Cardano nodes using Mithril, but as I understand it, the team's been working on a new feature. Can you tell us more about that?
While most people associate Mithril with this fast bootstrapping of Cardano nodes by downloading and verifying a Cardano node DB, we have been working lately on a new feature, which is signing individual transactions. With that, decentralized applications and light wallets can add an additional layer of security to their offering by verifying individual transactions not only through their observation of the Cardano blockchain, but also through Mithril. So they can give the option for verifying a transaction to be, is it exactly in that way in the blockchain contained as verified by the whole Mithril signing stake. That is a very exciting additional layer any application can build on top, and you can already explore this and try this out on the Mithril Explorer. So on the Mithril Network website, you will find a link to the Explorer where you can see the Sanchonet network verifying transactions on demand given by ID. We also demonstrate this feature lately in the monthly reports. And we want everyone to try it out, and particularly builders on Cardano to consider adding a verified by Mithril button to the application. That would be wonderful.
So what does this mean for clients that are seeing a high volume of transactions?
With many applications on low value transactions, you don't care so much about whether they're already like final or not. But on some transactions, usually with high value involved, even if you use a light wallet, you want to verify that this transaction actually went through before you do a trade based on like a payment on ADA. And for these kinds of applications, you might still want to have the convenience of a light wallet, but at the same time, you also don't want to have like a single source of truth about what transaction happened and whether they are like accepted or already final. And such that we want to enable with Mithril an additional layer of security where you can verify transactions even before they're like completely final by the Ouroboros protocol, already by significant stake already kind of signing that these transactions are fine.
So for dApp developers, this is a relatively straightforward integration, and also wallets.
That's correct. So any application, it can even be a web application, can use the Mithril API to verify individual transactions, whether they are validly included in the given network's blockchain.
So I think since we last spoke to you, there's been 6 further versions of Hydra. Can you tell us what's in the latest update?
There has been a boatload of features we added over the year. So it was not only about improving networking between Hydra nodes, making them more secure and more resilient, but also adding convenience API features for what you can commit into a Hydra head, integrating with indexes like Kupo and writing tutorials. Just lately, we also launched the Hydra Explorer, already indexing Hydra heads on the Sanchonet, which we will expand onto other networks soon. Most notably, we also got contributions by Sunday Labs in the last couple of releases. So they were adding offline mode for Hydra, where you can use the Hydra node as a ledger as a service if you want so, to individually validate transactions as you go. Also to easily extend the Hydra node using streaming plugins, and lots of several other contributions by non-IoT contributors, which we're very happy about. Most notably, we have been recently starting to work on the incremental commits and decommits, which are major protocol changes because they will allow you to add and remove funds to an open Hydra head without closing it. This will enable lots of use cases for unidirectional payment channels and in general make it much more flexible to use. And these changes has been very significant. So you can already think about this to be like Hydra head v2. And of the significance of these changes, we have been starting to look for interested parties to do an audit, just again, as we did last year on version 0.10, on the new changes of the protocol.
So one of the great features of Hydra so far has been the level of community developer engagement from the get-go. Can you tell us more about what the community could be doing now to help test some of the new features?
With these significant protocol changes we've been working on recently on the Hydra Head protocol, we want to have more and more other parties also involved in building this open protocol, what we call Hydra. So that's why we are currently exploring and creating a working group at Intersect, specifically targeting on the Hydra developments, the current protocol extensions, but also what should be built next, what is relevant for the Cardano community. And this is not only about Hydra. I would want to have less brands and more variants of this. So this should also be involving Gummy Worm, Hydrozoa, Serpentine if needed. All of these recent proposals, I want to have these people in the one room discussing what is the thing we want to build, how do we want to scale Cardano in the future. Especially with these new exciting features brought by Plutus V3 now, which enable CK applications, we should be starting engaging talks about how we can leverage zero knowledge in scaling Cardano in a better way. In fact, the Hydra tail will be a CK rollup, and this is why I would want to build this together. Ideally, we would kind of collaborate and build not 15 rollups, but 1 or 2 or 3, and in 1 or 2 ways, which target individual use cases and interlock nicely. So while I got nominated to chair a working group at the Intersect about Hydra, I really want to bring in the masterminds of zero knowledge and all experts on scaling and build this together. I can't do this alone, and I would like to ask everyone listening to this, who do you think should be involved? Reach out on the Discord channels or on Twitter, and let's get this started together.
Sebastian, thanks a lot for joining us. So thanks to Sebastian for that. And to read monthly updates on Hydra and Mithril, make sure you check out the link below. Plus, on another scaling topic, make sure you check out a recent video from Cardano with Paul, where Phil from Anastasia Labs shares his thoughts on how Plutus version 3 will start to open up options for ZK-proof scaling technology on Cardano.
These primitives introduced will allow us to write smart contracts that instead of actually performing computation, they just verify proofs, right? That's all these smart contracts do. So when someone submits this proof, the smart contract will just check that the proof is correct. And if the proof is correct, the transaction will succeed. And if the proof is incorrect, the smart contract will reject it and the transaction will fail. There are things that we want to be done on layer 2s, but that's not to say we're not directly scaling the L1. So this is scaling the L1. It's scaling the L1, especially in terms of the DApp throughput capacity. So the number of transactions and orders that dApps will be able to handle on Cardano will vastly increase, right? And this will solve a huge bottleneck, which has been, the throughput limitations of individual dApps on Cardano. With this scaling solution that is enabled by Plutus V3, you can imagine dApps throughput increasing, 100-fold, in which case dApps would be able to submit hundreds of transactions in a block.
So thanks to Paul and Phil for that, and you can find the link to the full interview below. Next, let's catch up with some more builders. Stablecoins continue to be a hot topic for Cardano, and next up we've got Matthew Plomin from Cardano native stablecoin USDM, formerly known as Mehen, to hear more about their project and what they're looking to achieve. Also joining us is Peyton, aka Big Pay, from Atrium, a new go-to platform looking to make Cardano accessible for everyone. IOG's Matthew Capps sat down with Matthew and Pay to hear the latest.
Matthew, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Could you tell us briefly who you are and also what USDM is?
Oh, thanks. I'm one of the co-founders for the USDM stablecoin, and we are building a fiat-backed stablecoin on the Cardano blockchain. We are currently in about we just crossed $200,000 in liquidity on chain. That's all been organically built by the community, growing through deepening market liquidity in each of the DEXs. So it's an exciting time for us, and we're glad to be here.
Well, so it might be worthwhile just to step back and ask the question, what is a stablecoin? I think oftentimes people just sort of have stablecoin in their mind as like a stand-in for like liquidity or something related to DeFi. So what is a stablecoin and what actually is its function?
So a stablecoin is, by the textbook, it is a dollar representation that is tradable on the blockchain. And so you can get there many different ways. So a few of the ways that Cardano has gotten there is through locking up ADA, or you lock up $1 worth of ADA, then it should be worth $1. The token that locks up the $1 worth of ADA should be worth $1 on the blockchain. So when you look at the algorithmic or the ADA-backed stablecoins that are currently in the ecosystem, like JED and IUSD, they take ADA and they package it up, and then that token trades within the DeFi ecosystem or within a peer-to-peer network as though it were $1. And we are taking a similar approach where we are taking a dollar that is in a reserve account that's held at Fidelity and Western Asset Management Company, and we are taking those dollars and issuing tokens against them. So the USDM token is called a fiat-backed stablecoin because we have fiat currency, $1 worth of fiat currency for every token that's issued. The way we're doing it is similar to like a USDT or a USDC, where they have the dollar reserves that are set aside for the token holders. But I think we're doing something a little better because we're Cardano. We have to do things a little better. And what we've done is we've enlisted the help of an oracle. So we use the Charlie 3 oracle to give them direct access, read-only access to our accounts. And we let the Charlie 3 oracle then report the value of the accounts on chain. And then that value is actually integrated into the smart contract that defines the monetary policy of the token. And that monetary policy then prevents minting more than you have in reserves. So there's like a protection and a guarantee that that $1 of reserves is held for every dollar of token we mint.
And so what is the function in a blockchain ecosystem like this of having a dollar representation asset to trade with? What's the point of a stablecoin?
There are a lot of different uses for stablecoins. A lot of times people need to either capture some gains and hedge out of them with a stablecoin, or if you're doing an NFT drop, a lot of times the local taxation rules will require you to pay taxes in fiat currency, and so you need to swap those gains into, or those proceeds from the mint into a stablecoin in order to preserve yourself for your tax liability. I know there are a lot of projects that minted during the all-time highs of Cardano's ADA price that ended up taking so much more of their treasury to pay the taxes even on the mint than they really should have if they'd had the ability to swap it into a stablecoin back then. So it's for preserving price, but also there's a lot of utility in the DeFi ecosystem. So we've been working with each of the DEXs to get adoption through the various DEX protocols, but also the lending and borrowing protocols. If you wanted to borrow against a token and borrow USDM, or if you wanted to lend USDM as a lendable asset and then get interest on that loan, that's the kind of thing you can do with a stablecoin. And being native to Cardano, we have the ability to mint for $1, redeem for $1, straight using the Cardano native asset, instead of having to use a bridge where you take the token that's on a different ecosystem, bridge it over, use it, and then bridge it back, and have to pay those bridging fees in each direction. So I think it's a great solution, and it's really a good thing for Cardano in general. Kind of where we plan on going is entering into some of the use cases for payment systems. So I know that there's a few projects underway that are doing a good job with payments adoption, so they could pay with crypto. We would like to see a lot of those projects start using pay with USDM. So that should be something that we are going to work on for the next year and try to work our way through the process of getting that kind of adoption through to Cardano.
So just a follow-up question on that. It's important to have a dollar representation, an asset that's a dollar representation to provide stability. But as you mentioned, there can be algorithmically backed stablecoins, there can be synthetics, etc. What's the niche specifically for a dollar-backed stablecoin that represents the value of $1, but it's also actually backed dollar to dollar? What's the niche for that?
There are a few things. I think when you think about the capital efficiency of a system, you understand that if you're using a crypto-based stablecoin that has a crypto asset that's been wrapped up, there will be some volatility in that asset. So you need to wrap up more than $1's worth of it to get $1 of token. And you just need to bear that volatility in the underlying asset. That's how JED works with the JED Shen pair. That's how to some extent, that's how IUSD works, where you over collateralize your CDP. And those things are good for the ecosystem. They're really good for being censorship resistant, being 24/7, uptime is great. But I think if you wanted to have the way to take a dollar from your treasury, dollar from yourself, and make that dollar a dollar on chain instead of having to take $3 or $4 of assets and turn them into a dollar, then you can do that with a USDM type fiat-backed stablecoin. The other reason for it, and the other niche that it fills, is really that kind of crypto to off-chain world, blockchain to off-chain. We sort of want to have that ability to use the token in a wide variety of contexts. And so if you can redeem it for a dollar, you can redeem it for without having to go through a lot of intermediaries to get the dollar back from the asset. So if you imagine a JET or an IUSD, you go through the smart contract, turn it into ADA, you take the ADA to a centralized exchange, take the centralized exchange, trade it to dollars, take the dollars off the centralized exchange. It's a lot of steps, and there's a lot of fees that can happen in the middle. And so we'd like to collapse that all into one, where we take the asset, you send it to USDM, and then we take that and redeem it for dollars. So it's a quicker, more efficient way to get the dollar to the chain and from the chain.
You mentioned USDC, USDT. What differentiates USDM amongst sort of the dollar-backed stablecoins out there that people are aware of?
We're really proud of our transparency and our ability to have not only daily disclosure of the reserve amount, but also take that reserve value that's being fed through the Oracle system and integrate that into the smart contract that defines the minting policy. So we can't mint more USDM. I know that there are a lot of questions about Tether's reserves and Tether's sufficiency of reserves. And there's less questions about Circles because they tend to publish a monthly transparency report, and they have proven themselves to be fairly transparent and honest actors. But I think that there's another level that Cardano will hold its projects to. And I think that being open, transparent, having daily and real-time reporting of reserves is really the way to go. And that's why we've done it that way. So we take what they've built and really elevate it to another level.
What does a future look like where USDM is sort of wildly successful as a Cardano native dollar-backed stablecoin? What does that future look like for USDM and also for Cardano?
For USDM, the hope is that we can work and get to a place where we have a globally acceptable stablecoin that can be used on Cardano, and that it can be the base for a lot of activity within the Cardano ecosystem as we go into this next era of scaling solutions and ZK rollups and partner chains. I think that there's a place for USDM on a lot of these different places. And so if you wanted to take USDM, for example, and then put it into a midnight project and use it over there, I think we would like to have that sort of functionality built in as well. So it really is, as we grow to fill the need, I think the Cardano blockchain will also grow. And we'd like to sort of see that parallel come together. So that's our hope, is that within the next, call it year, 2 years, if you want to forecast out 5, 10 years, we would have a nice, robust set of algorithmic, fiat-backed, crypto-backed, CDP-style stablecoins within the Cardano ecosystem that are used as payments rails for transactions that you conduct in your off-chain life, and preservations of value and self-sovereignty that you would have in your on-chain life. And so there's all kinds of uses for it, and there's all kinds of paths that we can go. So the future, as Cardano is building, and Charles says we have future is multi-chain. I think that there's a lot of truth in that. I think there's a nice area for Cardano projects to look into the UTXO architecture that's out there. And Ergo is a close partner with a lot of different projects that are on Cardano. So there's a lot of natural fits into the UTXO world. So additional partner chains, additional adoption, just kind of growing deep and wide.
What's up right now with USDM? What can people go find?
Yeah, so USDM is soft launched the stablecoin into the ecosystem on March 16th. We had our first trades on, I think, the 18th or 19th. And we've been building reserves since then. I think today or yesterday, we crossed over $200,000 in reserves that's been built and bootstrapped by the community. And so we're only working with institutions right now to onboard them to mint USDM. But I think that as you see us in the DEXs, you see us in the stable swaps, there's going to be a lot of runway for USDM to grow. So, jump in the Discord, follow us on Twitter, and take a look at us. We're happy to answer questions, very, very accessible and transparent for everybody.
Great. Well, Matthew, thanks so much for joining us on the show, and I'm really looking forward to the future.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Thanks.
Peyton, thanks so much for joining us on the show today. Could you give a brief introduction to yourself and also to Atrium?
Sure, and thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. We have a lot of updates compared to the last time we were together in person in Dubai. So my history in Cardano started in 2017. I found the Charles Hoskinson whiteboard video and immediately realized I wanted to be a stake pool operator and process transactions for Cardano. So the first way to create a stake pool was actually in 2019 in December for the incentivized testnet. And I created a stake pool, and that's really when I joined the community. I got a lot of help from other people that already had run stake pools on testnet, and it was a huge point for me. And after that, mainnet launches in September of 2020, and we launched the Bloom stake pool. A year and a half later, we actually launched Rare Bloom, which was an event that brought over 700 people, 44 companies, and 22 speakers. And, around that time of creating the event, I realized that people needed an application that aggregates the various services that we all use into one platform that teaches you how to use it with easy motion graphic videos. In my opinion, crypto is often a bit cumbersome, and people are living their daily lives, and they don't have time to dive into this stuff for 6 hours like you and I do. And that's really the foundation of what Atrium is. And on top of that aggregation, we've also built 2 smart contracts that we've worked on for the past year and a half to do a couple different things for users. The first one is staking baskets. It allows users to delegate to over 100 stake pools at the same time. The Atrium DAO is actually launching their first staking basket called Diffusion. Diffusion delegates to 50 different single SPOs at the same time. The second smart contract is actually called STOA. STOA allows users to mint profile NFTs. These profile NFTs can actually be customized. You can send to the name of your profile NFT. You can send to AppPay, for example. And as you level these NFTs up, you'll be able to change the customization options with options from your favorite projects. And projects are going to be able to create accounts as well. And users can follow these projects, and projects can send updates to their token holders, to their followers. So really what we're building with user account NFTs and profile NFTs is the foundation for socials using the Cardano blockchain.
So how's the incentivized testnet been going?
It honestly, it's done much better than we expected. We figured we'd have a few hundred people come in and try it, and I actually have some stats pulled up here. We've had over 3,300 unique staking addresses complete over 50,000 transactions in the past 45 days. And this is on Cardano's preview network. And what they were doing was using staking baskets, using the Atrium dashboard. And the next testnet that we're launching is actually for our second smart contract, profile NFTs.
And so what do you think that this feature is going to do for the relationship between ADA holders and SPOs and just in general for the Cardano staking ecosystem?
Well, for years, if you can make a good stake pool and you can monitor it and you can make sure you mint all of your blocks, there really is no way to stand out, against other SPOs because all of the rewards that are being paid are the same. There is actually a Cardano parameter called A0, and A0 is actually set at 0.3. And if you pledge, 72 million to a pool, you earn 30% more than everyone else on Cardano. And this was supposed to give operators that had, say, 1 to 5 million pledge, the ability to pay users more rewards and say, hey, I have a stake in the ecosystem. So because of that, I can provide more value to my delegates. However, because it's a, linear curve, it didn't really work out that way. So for years, it really hasn't been competitive, and it's been hard for new SPOs that are launching to gather stake. So our hope with staking baskets, the Atrium DAO is creating Diffusion. It supports 50 different single stake pool operators, but anyone can come in and create their own staking basket. They could create one that's blockchain for good, that supports, SPOs that are donating their funds or, SPOs that are building. And we actually just launched a partnership with Dex Hunter, and they use 41 different SPOs to help run the aggregator that a lot of people on Cardano now use. So really, this is the kind of the foundation And I think a lot of people are going to come up with really good ideas to change the relationship for SPOs and users. The first thing that comes to mind is they can support more people than they could before.
Yeah, and so maybe take us into the difference between the experience right now for users and the experience with Atrium. So, now they go into their wallet, they have, one stake pool that they're delegated to. That's sort of, all they know. They come into Atrium. What's different?
So when they come into Atrium, if they have a brand new wallet and they just got 500 ADA, the first recommendation is you should probably just stake your ADA to a stake pool that you like, as we've all done for years. And staking baskets are a new way to stake. So, really the difference is you have your entire wallet staking, and then whatever percentage you feel comfortable with, you can deposit into a staking basket of your choice. And that is then split among a bunch of different stake pools. And then you'd be earning from, the staking basket and also staking rewards at the same time. Lace has actually released a feature that allows you to delegate, I think, to up to 15 stake pools directly in wallet. And the future that we'd like to see is multi-delegation and staking baskets coexisting with each other to offer, value to SPOs and to users.
And so with this new social interface and social layer, how will the relationship between ADA holders and SPOs change?
I think that staking baskets are going to, allow users to explore more stake pools because they can delegate to, multiple at once. And I think profile NFTs are really going to, expand the ability for SPOs to talk to their users. Being an SPO for the past few years, the best thing I can do is send out a tweet or an email or make a video, because all we get when we get a delegation is a staking address. So if users are interested in connecting with projects or SPOs, they now can, using Atrium once we launch on mainnet.
That's excellent. Where are you guys at in development right now?
So we actually just launched the first incentivized testnet themed around staking baskets a month and a half ago. And in that month and a half, we had over 3,300 staking addresses try baskets and over 55,000 transactions. A lot of these users had never even set up a Cardano wallet before, and we have, moderators in there helping them. Here's Eternal, here's the preview network, and that actually finished yesterday. The next incentivized testnet themed around the profile contract, the STOA contract, is going to be launching within the next 3 weeks. Users will be able to come in, mint a profile NFT that they can level up on testnet, and then their level will actually transfer over to mainnet if they participate in the testnet. And then after this testnet, it's going to be 30, 45 days. That's starting a few weeks from now. Mainnet will launch shortly after.
Great. Well, if people want to get involved and they want to participate, where should they go?
I would say the best place is Twitter or our Discord. It's twitter.com/atrium_lab or discord.gg/atrium lab. If you want to make it a little quicker, x.com/atrium_lab.
Well, Peyton, thanks so much for joining us, and I'm really looking forward to the future of Atrium.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
That's nearly it for April, but before we go, a few other things to bring to your attention. So if you've been following X recently, you won't have missed the news that Cardano won the Best Layer 1 Blockchain Award last week at the Dubai Blockchain Life 2024 conference. It was a bit of drama going into the poll, but Cardano came out the winner, so props to the organisers for the award, and congratulations to you, the community, for getting out and voting and getting Cardano to the top. Earlier this week, the Cardano Bidlerfest wrapped after a 2-day event in Toulouse, France. The event brought together over 100 Cardano builders to connect, share their insights, and to continue to push Cardano innovation forwards. Talks included Adam Dean on EUTXO management for everyone, talks on zero-knowledge proofs and ZK-powered smart contracts on Cardano from IOG's Thomas Vellekoop and ZK Fold's Vladimir Sinyukov, and Sunday Labs' Pi Lanningham demoing Gummyworm, a new Layer 2 architecture built on Hydra. Plus discussions and best practice on the on-chain programming landscape from Plutus to Marlow, Akin, Option, and more. IOG's head of architecture for scaling, Arno Bailey, was on the ground, and next month we'll have him on the show to let us know how it all went. Talking of pushing Cardano forwards, this week saw the announcement of Pragma, a collaboration between the Cardano Foundation, Blink Labs, DC Spark, Sunday Labs, and TX Pipe to help foster continuing open source development on Cardano. The new member-based organisation will initially focus on projects including building Amaru, a Cardano full node in Rust to run alongside the existing Haskell nodes and help drive resilience and client diversity. Pragma will also provide a new home for Akin, the smart contract platform specifically created to both simplify and enhance the development of smart contracts on Cardano. A special shout out to everyone who attended Book's inaugural event last week. Speakers included IOG's Charles Hoskinson and Patrick Tobler from NMaker, and it was great to see so many of you on the socials in attendance. We had Josh from Book on February's show, so check out the link below if you want to learn more about the future of decentralized publishing and ownership. Charles was recently a host on Google's Web3 Talk series with Marlon Ruiz, where he shared his thoughts on the Bitcoin halving and the current state of the industry, Cardano governance and SIP 1694, the uniqueness of the EUTXO model, partner chains, and more. So make sure you check that out from the link below. And last but not least, a quick message for our SPO community. Last month on the show, we heard more about the peer-to-peer rollout and the journey to Ouroboros Genesis. As we get closer to that, this is a call out to SPOs to upgrade your relays. So far, around 50% are running 8.9 or above, so if you're at a loose end this weekend, what better time than to update to the new version? So if you're an SPO, infrastructure provider, or Cardano builder and you want to learn more and get involved, then you can find the link below to the technical Discord. Well, that's it for April. Join us again next month for more highlights from the team here at IOG and just some of the projects building out the Cardano ecosystem. But for now, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you're the first to know when the next show drops. Thanks very much for joining, and we'll see you in May.